everyone. My God, it's a great day to be alive. And why? Why is it a great day to be alive? I'll tell you why. Right here. It's time spent with the beloved ZX Spectrum. Hold it, caress it, Brent. Give it little kisses. And welcome to Our Sinclair. I'm Amigo, and of course joined by everyone's favorite schlup, the Brent. And we're back for another Our Sinclair this week. And this is a big one, in my opinion, Brent. Is this the biggest Our Sinclair of all times? No. But it's pretty huge.
What is the biggest Our Sinclair of all time?
Benny Hill.
No.
But
No.
this is a big one because in this episode we're going to be traveling through time. See the Northern Lights, Vol.1. Looking forward to talking about this one. How's your week? How's your ZX Spectrum week, the Brent?
Limiting.
Limiting, how so?
It's like the limiter on your car.
Oh, yeah?
I couldn't get going past 50 miles an hour.
You know, sometimes if you bang your head on something like the shower, you can get real-life color clash. It's amazing. I've had it happen a few times. And sometimes you just go to black and white monochrome. And when you really fall down. You know, before we get into the game proper this week, because this week's game is sort of it's a driving simulator to racing game. It's a few different sorts of game.
Okay. It's a narrative racing game.
Very good. But how long did it take you to figure that one out?
What?
That's good. Narrative. I've never heard those words strung together.
Oh, okay. There you go.
But before we get into it, I thought it'd be fun to talk about what makes a racing or a driving simulator enjoyable for you. You know, if you look at throughout the years, and this game was a newer offering.
Yes.
So there was a lot of water in the bridge from driving and racing games before this came out. You know, a lot of people have different preferences on the kind of games, vehicular games that they enjoy.
Sure.
What do you get into? Like, if you have a favorite driving or racing game, or maybe something else in a vehicle, what's your cup of tea?
I have three favorites. And in fact, they're so far on the other side of the spectrum from each other, it's amazing.
Oh, good use of the word, too.
I like realistic
Yeah.
driving simulators. I'm talking your hard drivings, your Gran Turismos,
Yeah.
that sort of level of realty, or the completely off-the-wall ridiculousness of like Rush the Rock.
Yeah.
Or Rush San Francisco 2049.
Yeah.
And then just to round out everything, I also like kart racers.
So you say you like racing games? What you're
No,
saying.
actually, I hate racing games. I don't hate racing games, but they are not a genre of gaming that I typically play to any amount of length.
You know, it's funny. You talked about your what I would call hyper-realistic driving simulators.
Yes.
I hate those games. Oh, admittedly, hard driving does have the all-time greatest death tune. Ba 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 ba. But we own this game. We're getting a lot of use out of it, I might add. If you're looking to buy one of these, look us up. But Gran Turismo, what's the Microsoft version?
Forza.
These games I hate, and I'll tell you why. It's too much like being in school or something. Like, I drive a real car 80 miles a day, at least 80 miles every day, right? Through construction, on back roads, out creeks, everywhere. The last thing I want to do is get it behind the wheel of a car and then drive around in a realistic way in a realistic car.
So like the Euro Truck simulators don't do anything for you.
No. Now, well, I mean, you could make those fun if you just do whatever you want.
No.
Like, here's what would be fun.
No.
You know what I can't do on the interstate? Go 200, for example, drive a rig. I could be behind that, but I don't want to play a game where you have to follow the rules of the road. You know what I like is your like stunt car racers and your Carmageddons.
Sure.
Your outruns, that sort of game. When it comes to like games based on like closed tracks, your indies, your Formula One, that stuff. I like that because it's not fun for me to. I mean, I know people love it, but like if you're a gearhead, you know what I'm saying? That's probably something you dig. But what's the opposite of gearhead? Dunderhead? That's me. I don't know jack squat about car.
Well, that is one thing. When you can go in and tune your vehicle,
Yeah.
I got no love for that.
Some people love that.
Yeah, I know, and I don't fault them for it.
I do.
If you can go in and say like more engine now, please, and click the button, like I'm okay with that. The like off-road style.
Yeah, I was going to say like Iron Man Stewart.
That's right.
More engine, please.
but for like going in there like adjusting the bolt like 1/4 of a turn, nah, that ain't for me.
Or meddling with the spoilers.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we agree. Yeah, when it comes to kart racing, I like it okay, but I'm not like a crazy man for it.
No, I'm not either.
I like combative racing, but I don't love it. Like, I like Carmageddon, but like, what's the series on the PlayStation with the ice cream truck? That one. I never got into that kind of. It didn't do. I don't like open world. I mean, Carmageddon's open world, but I mean, there is a track there. I don't know what I'm saying, frankly. I don't. I know it when I say, like, remember, you ever played Interstate 76?
Yes.
Remember that game?
Yes.
Like, it was okay. I
Yeah.
like the concept of it. I like the music. I like the disco-iness of it. But, like, mission-based car stuff, it can get a little tedious to me.
Yeah.
So there is something. Sometimes you want to sit down and play stunts or something, where you just go in there and just do wacky, crazy stuff. You mentioned San Francisco Rush 2049, great game. I love that game. And I also like the wacky mini games. The dueling and the stunt stuff. That stuff's fun too. So that's one of the better games, I think. I've always been a big fan of that one. Plus Rush. I'll give you that. I like games of that type where you take a ride through a crazy track. Those are fun games. I'm okay with that kind of racing because it's fun, arcadey racing.
Right.
But no serious racing. That's no
Well,
good.
and don't get me wrong. I will play all the styles of racing games.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to sink a month into any racing game.
Yeah.
Any of them. So, there's not my particular genre of
Do you
interest.
enjoy the combat stuff?
Again, I will play them.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to do combat stuff, I'd rather do FPS, first-person shooter type stuff.
Yeah, but you're not in a car in there.
Right, no, that's what I'm saying, though.
We played this crazy Russian car game. I wish you remember the name of it on Steam. And you can make your own car.
We played with
The problem with these type of games, this really gets you. It's like you got to spend real money to have an awesome car.
It was a gotcha
And so
game.
I just get mauled by all the better cars.
Yeah.
It's just like real life, unfortunately. I would like a game where I could go get a reasonable rate on a car at a car lot. Does that game exist?
No. Well, it does, but you wouldn't want to play it.
So, I will say, this week's game is not a conventional game to any of those genres. I'd say this one's pretty unusual.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. And we're going to talk about it here. It's called A Traveler Through Time, Vol.1, Northern Light. This game was a later release for the 128 Spectrum. Get this, Brent. This one wasn't released until June 21st or 24th, 2021.
Yeah.
So just a few years ago. Published and developed by Zasha Entertainment I believe they're out of Russia. Zasha did a lot of games, more modern titles. Get this, Brent. We've covered a couple of these bad boys, including Drift, which was a real interesting racing game. Or it was a drift game we played. I don't remember. I think it was a boat. They maybe did that. Do you remember playing Drift? They did a game called Don Quixote, The Dark, Bonnie and Clyde, Angels, Just a Gal, Lava 21, and Valley of the Range. The one you may remember, Brett, Seraphima was from these guys. Now, the creators of this game are named Kit, Manu, and Tyrula. Let's go with that. Boy, sorry, Tyrula. So, Kit was your coder. He's worked on a game called Ivan Shazarevich and Last Raider. Manu has this is the only credit he's got, and the other guy is the only credit he's got. Manu worked on the in-game graphics and the load screen. The graphics in this thing we'll get to, but he did a good job. And then the third fellow, whose name I butchered, is responsible for the music. I tried to look into both Zosha and these fellows, and the sledding was, I mean, listen, I'm not Commander Investigator. I'm not Sherlock Holmes. I'm not Jeremy Brett. But I usually have a pretty good go of it. I had no go. I couldn't find hardly anything. Here's what I can tell you. Zosh Entertainment took their website down and said they are no longer in business. They're done. One and done. So they had a lot of stuff coming out, too. And I can't find anything on any of the people in this. The only thing I found out was that this game, according to a comment I read, was originally started by a fellow named Oleg Origin, and Oleg never completed the game, and I don't know how far he got into the game, but he wasn't involved ultimately in the end of the game. So you take that with a grain of salt on that one. This is Travel Through Time Volume 1, and you may be thinking to yourself, heck, this has been 4 years ago. Volume 2, due any day. No word on Volume 2. No word at all on Volume 2. Or if any of these guys are still active. And given the situation over in Russia and that area, as we all know,
it's hard to tell.
Who knows what's going on over there? But I believe these games. If you wanted to purchase these games, I mean, you can't purchase them from the webpage anymore. You can. I mean, these games are findable, obviously. Yes. I believe there is a place I read somewhere there was some place still selling them somewhere, but I don't know where that place is. So if you're looking to buy a copy of this, you'll probably have to hunt around, and I can't help you. I'd love to try. Again, this works on the 128K, and guys, how to describe this game out of the gate? Because I didn't know what to expect. When this game loads up, it's got a beautiful opening screen of a few different cars, and they've done a very good job with the coloring of these to make it look almost dreamy the way it starts up. And then you start the game out, and you're a character. I believe you're in. Is it Sweden?
Stefan. Yes.
Yeah, Stefan. Or Sven. I thought it was just Sven. I can't remember.
Be.
Anyway,
yeah.
You play this character who goes and the very first thing he does is pull his car out of the garage, and this has got a big cutscene where he walks. You know, it's well done, beautiful cutscene where he goes and pulls his car out of the garage, gets in it, the taillights kick up, he backs it out. He's driving down the road, and he meets a fellow on a tractor. They have a little conversation. It's another cutscene, and then you're sort of off, and it says just drive. That's all it says to do, and you're behind the wheel. So before we get too deep into this one, what do you think about the presentation, the opening of this? It's a real unusual opening for a game.
Yeah, I didn't know what we were getting into. I mean, I knew it was a driving game, of course. My very first thing I did was I was like, okay, I can set my keys. I appreciate that. So I set my keys up, and they didn't do well.
Oh, before you continue, I forgot something. This game comes up and asks you what kind of sound you want.
Well, I'm going to get to that.
Are you going to mention that?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So, I did not. I wanted to have up, down, left, right control of my vehicle. However, I found when I did that, anytime I hit left or right, it shift gears.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. So your mileage may vary.
I played with a joystick, didn't have any trouble.
Okay. So I just wanted to mention that out of the gate. But it's an obviously beautiful game. I'm not surprised that the people who worked on Serafina had at least something to do with this, because they are milking the spectrum for every single thing you could possibly do.
Absolutely.
And when I first fired it up, I was like, man, I'm surprised they're only using black, white, after the cutscene, black, white, and blue for the driving experience. I figured that they could do more. There's a reason for that, and we will get into it. But yeah, I was really, really impressed at how smooth and beautiful the graphics looked.
The sound? You gonna get into it?
That,
you told me not to say it, then you didn't say it.
Yeah, sorry, you threw me off track. You can either have a CD quality sound or chip music as you play. I always pick chip.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for the obvious reason. But I think that's interesting. I tried to find out what the scoop was with that. I couldn't figure that out either. I don't know if they had if there was some kind of soundtrack that you could put in while it played. I'm not sure. Maybe I don't know what that was. But the chip music's quite nice.
Yeah, it's good. It's high quality.
Yeah, I'm sorry I butchered the musician's name because you did good work, kid. So when you start this out, it's like the late 50s, right? You're in your car, and your character heard that they have some drag races out in a certain area, and he's heading out there to
not drag races.
Well,
just racing.
Yeah, well,
that's very important.
You're right. And so your job at the beginning of this game is to just get to the meet area and then try to insert yourself into the races.
Yeah.
This game, Brent mentioned it. The game is not monochrome, but a lot of it's monochrome, and in the background is a sort of where your colors are going to fall in. And I will say, this is what the Spectrum does better than almost any computer, which are these real, except for maybe the Mac, these real fine, detailed monochrome graphics.
Yeah.
And what they do here with the scrolling of the road and the car, this is better than almost everything. I mean, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean on the Spectrum. I mean,
Well,
any 8-bit, like, I would like to see the game where that has a more realistic and more detailed road and car than this has.
They work to the strengths of what they have. When they knock it down to basically they're just dealing with black and white, you can add so much subtle detail by doing that it's really magnificent. Get into the gameplay itself, controlling the car, how it moves, how it works. It's very odd. Did you think it was very odd?
No, for me it was. I used the joystick. I used my gamepad, and it worked. I had no problems.
I didn't say there were problems. I said it's very odd.
I thought it was pretty normal.
If you kick as hard as you can to the left or right, you aren't just going to whip off the side of the road. Even, it's all about minor corrections, but the minor corrections take major inputs. Does that make any sense?
Well, I think part of it is, and you'll know better than me because you got further.
Yeah.
You're driving these late 1950s tank. Now listen, I'm no car guy, okay, but this is a big, heavy 1950s car,
and it feels it.
And it's tough to get around. It's big. It takes up a lot of the road. The other cars you come across, they're big. They take up a lot of the road, and the road's not huge. And so getting through the game it can be a chore in terms of the racing of the game. But I thought the controls were good. You'd be surprised, or you're not, but the people would be surprised at how quickly this road scrolls.
Yes.
I mean, it's quite a treat, and they use every trick in the book. Some parts of the road it goes up and gently, it goes up and down. There are curves. There you go under bridges, over railroad tracks. Sometimes they use the old outrun, sort of like parts of the road are darker, like strips are dark. They use that. Sometimes they don't. So, and what's another nice touch is that you go through the game. It's like we've played a ton of games on every system, including the Spectrum, where it's like if you've got any sort of background, it just sort of scrolls. Like there'll be one solid background that sort of scrolls slowly as you drive. Not this game.
Yeah.
This game, the backgrounds change. You go by things. I don't just mean like phone poles. I mean like trees will go by. You'll be gone. That tree, so you saw it up there, and now it's gone. They add different features that you come upon. It's like you're really driving an actual car.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Now, one thing to say, while the scrolling is mega impressive, you don't feel like you're going Mach 10.
No, you're not.
You feel like you're traveling at a racing pace from the 1950s.
Yeah.
You feel like you're going, maybe 110 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You don't feel like you're going, 600 miles an hour.
And I will say, you're not on the dead straightaways. You're like
hardly ever.
And so when you get to a straight point and you've got the pedal down, you really get that sense of like, oh, here we go. It's not like you're going warp speed, but there's a curve somewhere. You better enjoy this while you can.
And you're going to eat it.
And go as fast as you can down the road.
Something else with this game, and what really sets it apart, I mean, besides the incredible graphics, the beautiful sound, that sets it apart, is the game has an overarching narrative.
Yeah.
You are this character who lives with his uncle. I'm not going to spoil everything because I think people should play through this, even though I spoiled it for myself.
Yeah.
You learn about your character. You learn about what happened to his parents. You learn about what he does in his life. And you actually feel all these things as you're going through. And it's a nice experience. It's not something it's not earth-shattering. The writing is certainly in a English is not my first language dialogue. But having it in there is kind of neat. It's kind of nice to give more to a racing game than just I'm going to get to the end of this track.
Yeah, this game is called Travel Through Time, and that's what it feels like. When you play this game, you actually are traveling through this guy's life.
Yes.
And so he's a teenager. He's out trying to get over with the local drivers, and then, meets a girl. People die. Things happen. So it's nice. It feels more like it gives the game more weight.
Yes.
And another thing, this game, and I will say, I did not get super far to get. Thank God you did. You got a lot farther than I did. But the game, aside from the fact that you've got this extra weight by the narrative, they also break up what you do.
Yes.
Sometimes all you've got to do is get from point A to point B. All right. Sometimes you've got a time limit. Sometimes you've got to win a race. Sometimes I saw further into the game, there's a part where you have to take a guy down.
Yeah, Chase HQ style.
Chase HQ style, and it looked cool. I saw further in where a couple guys were racing tractors. These are all fun, and then of course as you go through the years, you go into the late '60s and the early '70s. The cars change.
Yes.
You get different cars, lighter, better cars, better engines, whatever. And so the cars change, and so not only they could have just made a game. There have been plenty of games where they just put different cars in the game, and you went and tried different cars from different eras.
Yeah.
That's pretty. But I don't think I've seen a game quite like this one, where you actually go through a guy's life through the years. It's fun. You'll learn to hate certain characters in the game. You probably just saw that guy come out, but you'll also learn to accept failure, because I failed a ton. I don't know how far. Do you recall how far in you got?
I believe in total there are like 50. There's not really 50 races, but 50 events.
Yeah.
I think I got to the low double digits, 11 or 12.
Yeah, I didn't get that far even. I had to go watch someone better than me. And I will say that's one of the things that is frustrating about the game. Other people were great at this game. I wasn't that good. I had trouble from Jump Street. I will say this game is very clever, because one of the first things they do in the game is get you off kilter. Because the very first thing you do, you're just driving to meet the guys, right? And you go over a set of train tracks, and then you go over another set of train tracks, and if you don't stop at that second set of train tracks, the train runs your car over.
Yeah.
And you're dead, and that's the end of the game. So I like that they knew what they were doing when they did that.
Yeah, and you're going to get killed by the train the first time, even if you know it's coming.
Yeah.
Because it's actually very difficult. I got killed by the train like 4 times.
I just stopped, and then I eased up to the rail. It's like, there's no time limit.
Yeah.
And then I got past it.
I kept trying to see if I could beat the train.
Yeah.
You can't beat the train.
The roads you're racing on are sort of like, they remind me of like the back roads of West Virginia in a way, except way flatter.
Yeah,
so
they're
it's just
very
like
curvy.
a country road somewhere, although there's way more lights on these roads than we would get on a country road. There are no lights, the country road. But the one thing that dominates this game is their ability to generate a surface to race on, and the way everything scrolls and moves.
Right.
Like,
And I want to mention something real quick,
Yeah.
especially since it's in the video if you're watching at home. This is what they saved those color palettes for.
Yeah.
They saved the color palettes to say, now you're racing in the evening. Now you're racing at night.
Yeah.
And it is so beautifully done. You go through snow. Full closure, I didn't make it to the snow, but I saw some of the snow stages, and I personally didn't like how they looked, but the fact that they put the effort in there to make it feel like you were really in that environment, going that extra mile, was really nice. And to save those colors back to put into the racing experience, when it happens, it's like, oh, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
You really feel like you're racing at a different time of day. It doesn't sound like much, especially if you're looking at like modern platforms, but to see it done on the ZX so masterfully is really impressive.
I don't know how much press this got in 2021. I mean, we were doing...
Not nearly enough.
Me and Bo were doing the show then, but I don't remember hearing about this game at all. But I'll tell you, I mean, I'm just going to say it. This is, for me, this is hands down, and it's not a close race, if I may say. this is the best racing game on this platform, bar none.
Yeah.
There's nothing even in the same stratosphere.
Yeah, I would agree.
And it's not because, and the thing is, listen, I'm an old softy. I was around in the 70s, you know what I mean? As I remember the cars. So the narrative is nice to me.
Yeah.
But listen, the narrative's got nothing to do with the gameplay. The gameplay in this is tight. Like Brent said, you've got different weather conditions. You've got different sky conditions. You've got different race conditions. You've got different cars. And all the time wrapped in that beautiful scrolling road.
Yeah.
It's the best. Is this the easiest game? No. But we talk about all the time those games that you would go back, and back if you were in the UK as a kid, you pick up a game at the local pharmacy or whatever, take it home, and spend like hours with it or weeks or whatever. This is one of those games.
Yeah.
Like this game, you want to sit down and just unfurl it and play it, and you can come back to it. Because you can skip the cutscenes. If you don't watch them, that's fine. Just skip right through them. Just play the game. I mean, we've seen so many racing games where you race the car, that's the game.
Yeah.
This gives you, I mean, you're talking, I know the playthrough I saw on this was like almost 3 hours long.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot, and that's if you scoot through it, and you're not going to get there like that. But it's got a lot of replay value. Then, I mean, should I give away the secret ending to this game?
No, I don't think you should. I don't, because that kills so much.
Let
of
me
the
just
story.
say that you there once you finish the game, you didn't finish the game.
Yeah,
How about that?
There's a new game plus.
Yeah, but on top of everything else, they graphically they also managed to mix in nice touches. Like I said, the music is nice. The way that the scenes are structured, they're very well done.
Yeah.
You know, the scenes at the house, the scenes where he talks to people, the scenes where he pulls up on the tractor, pulls up on another car. Someone had an eye for that sort of thing, and
Yes.
they rendered it quite nicely, and the music plays into it. This is a huge winner.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why I was so sad to not be able to find anything out about the guys or the outfit that did it. And I hope everyone's okay over there, and I hope this isn't their last effort, because a game like this, you could absolutely do more of these.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can improve on the gameplay per se, but you could absolutely do with more cars. You know, and different sorts of cars, maybe different areas to race, you know, like in more like a city than a country setting, you know. When it comes to the actual racing, okay, the actual operation of the vehicle, what did you think about the way they treated, like, hitting stuff, for example?
I would say it's a solid 8 out of 10. It lets you drive through small stuff that does slow down your vehicle but doesn't stop you.
Mm-hmm.
If you hit something major, it does. The one thing that really annoyed me was if you have a car coming up behind you, say you took a curve and you had to slow down too much and there was a guy behind you, if the guy hits you from behind, it's no different than if he hit you from the front.
Yeah.
You don't get like a little shove boost. That kind of annoyed me, but I mean, it's a minor gripe on top of everything else. I think the gameplay is really solid.
You're not going to have an outrun style crash where you're like,
No.
I mean, well, unless the train hits you, where you're like, the car flips over and this is a game where when the car hits you,
pieces fly off.
Yeah.
And you keep on going.
Yeah, well, that, you know, I normally don't mention the chat, but Pixel of Dawn just said that the dev of this got caught up in the political situation and had to stop for now, so
That's
that would explain
unfortunate.
it. Well, I kind of think that's what we all were thinking, but boy, I hope that this guy hasn't given up on the ZX, and maybe hopefully he's spending some extra time tooling around with it, because this sort of talent, I mean, can you imagine if this game had been released but when this system was on,
No.
was rock? I mean, this would have, everyone on the earth would have stopped and been like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those things where people from the modern era who have a better understanding of what the ZX was capable of had their hands on
Yeah.
it. I don't think this would have been a feasible thing for a studio to produce back in the day.
I will say, and I think you'll agree with me, but I'm not 100% sure, because me and you play a lot of games on a lot of different systems.
Yeah.
And we get impressed by some very small things or very big things. But in terms of an 8-bit game, like, of all the games I've played, I've been mildly surprised, because I had no idea what this game was. I thought it was car racing because of the cover.
Right.
But, I mean, I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
This is one of the best things I've ever played on any 8-bit system.
Anywhere. This game, I still think that Seraphina was a better game than this, just because it had
Hot
more,
chick.
No, it just had
Hot
more things
woman.
going on, and it's more of a game style that I enjoy. But this is still right up there, and it's sad. It's sad that more of this stuff isn't coming out for the ZX, because this shows how capable the system is.
Maybe it is. Maybe that's something we can look forward to. I like this more than Seraphina, and I like Seraphina a lot, but something about this game just hit me the right way, because like I said, I'm an old softy, and driving up and down there, I used to deliver pizza, all right, you know that, and these roads in the game, I mean, I've never been to Sweden. I like to go, you know, but it reminded me of driving around on the back roads of West Virginia. You know, the phone poles, all the trees in the background. Like I said, there's a lot more light poles in this, but aside from that, it's pretty close.
I think those are power poles.
You know, no, there's light poles too, but it's just a treat of a game.
It is.
You know, I got nothing bad to say about it. I wasn't that good at it, but it's the kind of game where I went back. I played this thing a ton, just because I was like, my God, I can't believe it. And I tried. I just thought it was a mind blowing experience.
Yeah.
Now we got an unbelievable amount of action for reviews on this. By the way, Brent, if you're interested in hearing them.
I am interested, Aaron.
Oh, good for you, because that would have sucked if you'd said, no, I don't want to hear them. Tell all these people that Brent rejected them, they would have cried. So let me start off here at the very beginning, because, oh my gosh, we got so many of these. So the first one we got here is from D-Man, 1982, the D-Man. He says, the wizards over at Zosha yet again sprinkled their magic to create what is arguably the best racing game ever on the Spectrum.
Yeah.
Had this been released during the Specky's commercial lifetime, then it would have no doubt been smashed, mega gamed, and given classic status across the board. Not only does it look beautiful in both gameplay and the cutscenes, but the game represents a real challenge, with qualification for the next stage usually by the skin of one's teeth, even on a seemingly perfect run. Thank goodness for the replay level feature. Mind the train. 10 out of 10 from D-Man. Jed Byrne chimes in. I don't like racing games, but I do like this game.
Bam.
Most racing games are like bikers. Covered on the next not long ago. It looked great, but quickly got repetitive. This level turns left twice, then turns right. Completely different to the last level that turned left, then right, then left. They never give any sense of progress or achievement. Northern Lights also looks great, but it takes everything to a whole new level, racing far ahead of anything else in the Specky. With each race, there is a real sense of progress, smooth graphics, give a feel of the moment, and in addition to the typical lamppost inside, you see the occasional bridge or train track. A progress indicator lets you see how far you are from the finishing line, which keeps you trying again and again when you get so close. The different events keep the challenge varied. Time trials are addictive, but the races are the best part. Racing games with actual opponents' positions are rare on the Spectrum. The story is thin, and you won't get too invested shipping Sven and Irma. You will start looking forward to the cutscenes, especially when the decades start changing and it really feels like time is passing.
Yes.
It isn't just the vehicles that change, things happen. Without a doubt, the best racing game on the Spectrum. Chartel chimes in. We got a lot of action here. Travel Through Time, as far as I know, there's no Volume 2. It's probably the best game. It's probably the game with the best sprites I've ever seen on the Spectrum. Once again, showcasing Zosha Entertainment's mastery of the machine. The protagonist's car, in particular, looks fantastic and always moves smoothly with a good sense of speed and frame rate for a Spectrum game. As a racing game, it's quite atypical because every few levels a cutscene in an 8-bit visual novel style tells us the protagonist's story over time. Gameplay also varied from level to level. There are races where you need to finish in a certain position, checkpoint-based races like Outrun, time trials, stages where you can't crash or you're eliminated, and sometimes you even use different vehicles like a motorcycle. I've made it to level 28 where you have to stop a thief by ramming them like in Chase HQ, but I couldn't manage it. And from what I've seen on YouTube, that's maybe halfway through the game, so it's pretty long. On the downside, I'd say the cars are too big, which makes them nearly impossible to overtake when there's more than one on the road, and there are a few difficulty spikes that are a bit too harsh. In conclusion, a magnificent racing game for the 128K Spectrum. Definitely one of those titles you could say have become a classic if it had been released during the Spectrum's commercial era. And lastly, Brent, our old buddy Jocko chimed in. This is a big game, more than I could complete in a few evenings. I made it to about stage 15. It's probably took me about an hour, but it was fun, and it's a game that feels way bigger than anything you'd expect to see on the ZX.
Yeah.
Big, beautiful vehicle graphics, smooth gameplay, relatively good frame rate most of the time, and highly playable. While it can be challenging, leaving little to err, the game is good to you, and for the most part, you can just keep trying until you get through, and I made progress reasonably fast, so it feels doable. Plus, you'll get the whole storyline and a bunch of extra events to mix it up a little, although I would have liked a few more special events as it becomes a little samey at times. The only negative was sometimes multiple cars could block the road, and you pass them on some runs, which your car used to lose due to tight time constraints, which meant on some races you knew it was impossible to win, but you had to finish anyway. Zosha have sadly closed down, and my chance to pick up a physical copy has now passed. I would have genuinely liked to have paid for this one, but I snoozed and losed. Overall, if you like racing games, this is a really good one to check out, and would be good on any system, 9 out of 10. Well, I don't think we've had a game that got such glowing reviews as that particular game. It's been a while. That is a big, big winner. So, I guess in closing, what are your final thoughts on that particular racing game?
It is so disheartening to hear that this particular development team will probably not be producing any more things for the Spectrum for just the dumbest reasons. I mean, no fault to them. It is what it is.
If there's ever been a reason not to have wars, this game is one of them.
That's it. I want more specky stuff. But I mean, talent on such a display, it's really amazing.
Yeah, I will say this. We're just a couple humble country boys in the United States. But I'm telling you that this is a must play on your ZX Spectrum. Don't listen to me. Listen to all the other non-Americans who said the same thing. Putting it over. This is a great game. It's a must play. I think it's something you'd really enjoy.
Absolutely.
Great stuff there. Really enjoyed this week's game. So, let's look forward, the Brent, to what we're going to be doing next on Our Sinclair. The next show for what was that?
I was putting up for the next week, but if you want us to do next,
the next game we're going to be playing on Our Sinclair is going to be a game called Bear Bover. Bear Bover, Blackadder. I don't know what Bear Bover is. I've never heard of Bear Bover.
Boy, I'll tell you, it's tough to be a Spectrum game coming off of a week like this.
It sure is. It sure is. And that will be in a few weeks. The next week, the rotation spins yet again, the Brent, and we're back on ARG Presents. And the title that came up this time around, multi-sports games that are not from Epix.
Yes.
So Epix is out of the running. We'll find something to play, I have a feeling. And then that will be May 18th. And then Tuesday, May 27th, will be Atari ST show, Rodney versus KFC. So that's what you've got coming up. Don't ask me. Boy, none of these games fill me with... None of these things sound... I mean, I think we hit the high water mark.
Man, well, you know, with our style of show, you definitely have peaks and valleys, and we're at a peak, so it's time to go to Valley Town.
Yeah, just a couple little items before we call it off. You know, about a month or so ago, we covered a game called Mr. Wimpy.
Yep.
You know, and I had an epiphany. I was like, wait a minute. I remembered, and I had forgot about this for the show, but I went and I had some Mr. Wimpy merch that Chris Fold sent me. I found the fanny pack, the Wimpy fanny pack, but he also sent me a Wimpy hat. I've desperately got to find this hat. So I did have some. I wish I'd worn the Wimpy merch for the Mr.
To be fair, the Wimpy fanny pack would have been more like a Wimpy pocket for you.
Yeah, and then I was, my good buddy Hose came over today, and we were chatting about Benny Hill. And he actually, of all the times, he watched our Benny Hill ZX Spectre show. He watched it. Probably the first show he's ever watched of ours. And he said he found that game. He said the game looked highly amusing, and because he's also a big Benny Hill fan. So we're bringing the ZX Spectrum to the American side. Finally, we're winning some people. We're winning some people over. Before we go, as we're taping this will release in a few days, but I want to say a happy Mother's Day to all the mommies out there. I miss my mom this year. I hope everyone else that can, get your mom a goodie, give her a little smooch, celebrate the moms out there. It's a tough job.
Absolutely.
Being a mom or grandma. And so we salute moms. If it wasn't for the moms, we wouldn't be here today.
That's what they say.
That's what they say. I think that's a good way to go out. Brent, any final parting thoughts before we take this to the house?
Nope.
All right. We'll be back on Our Sinclair for Bear Bover. And until next time around, make sure you hit play.
So you can play the game.
Close enough. Go!